Hi, I'm Jen Marie, and this is Wyse Talk. We have back again an absolutely fabulous art quilter, and she has so much knowledge, so much information, it just can't be contained in one show. So Diane Wright, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to start off with, I mentioned it in our last program, but you were featured in, you had 2 quilts in Quilting Art magazine. Absolutely phenomenal magazine if people don't aware of it. But I have one of the quilts right here, and I'd like to, talk about it a little bit. What is the name of this quilt?
This is called Where Have All the Cattails Gone?
Where Have All the Cattails Gone? Okay, I just dropped something. And that makes a lot of sense. You used an interesting technique with this.
Yes. This particular cattail, both of them, they're called haystack. You just make rotary cut layers of fabric into small little confetti things. And then, because no one would want to actually deal with any little piece of confetti,
right.
You sandwich it between a piece of fabric and a piece of netting or tulle, and then you trap it with stitching so that it's in there to stay. So I made that's how I made my cattails. But this piece, I've been working on my own personal theme of exotic, and particularly as endangered species or endangered things. Mm-hmm. And because so many phragmites come into our wetlands, our cattails are going away.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're endangered. And that's a habitat. Their roots in the water keep the area clean for fish, so there's all this sort of ramifications happen when a plant life goes away. So this is actually, and it's home to some red-winged blackbirds.
Yes.
So I did the cattails. This is a hand-dyed piece of fabric in the back, and these are various people hand-dyed for my cattails. And then to add some color and some whimsy, I dyed a vintage napkin.
Isn't that interesting? And it's not just one color. So you didn't do what I would do, put it in a bath of dye and let it roll. You know,
No.
It's modeled. It has different variations.
So, well, this is a little bit of ice dyeing too. I put it in a container of ice and sprinkled dye over it, and then as the ice melts at different rates, the fabric will absorb the dye differently.
Very interesting.
So you get a real mottled effect. So I cut away the darkest plot to be where I wanted dark, and then that's why there are that many, because that's the end of the napkin.
Well, when you run out of your tool.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting that it was, I'll just take that from you. That was very, very interesting. And I have to tell you, I was looking through, you didn't mention to me you were going to be in the magazine.
I didn't know.
Because you're a bad girl. Because you were supposed to mention it to me that you're going to be in there. But I got the magazine and I'm looking through it, and even before I go, man, that looks like Diane's work. And then I saw your name. And I go, man, and then I saw 2 pictures. I was extremely jealous. I'm just saying.
It was not my doing. There are 2 artists who wrote articles for the magazine, and both of them independently had asked me to submit work that they could use my work as illustrations. And actually one of them was about a series that we're doing. So it wasn't me who got,
Well, that's how well known you are and how experienced how people know you. Now, the next piece we're going to talk about is actually, I'm dying to talk about this piece. And let's just show it here for a minute, because this, to me, which way does it go?
This goes, well, it can go either way, but I envision it this way.
This is incredible. Tell me, first of all, name it and tell me a little bit about it.
This is honeybee drones.
Mm-hmm.
Again, on endangered species. Mm-hmm. The challenge for the group was to work with neon. These colors are a little out of my comfort zone. I'm usually not into neon. So I knew I needed to do neon, but the rest of it, then I wanted to fit my own personal theme. Mm-hmm. And that was for honeybees. So in my stash, I happened to have this blue fabric with these great big white, blue, yellow dots on them. I thought, I can make honeybees that look like they're covered with pollen, like they're supposed to be.
Wow.
It all started, however, with the base of this piece is black wool batting.
This is black wool batting?
Yeah.
This
now,
right here?
Over it. Now there's a little thin layer of silk that I happened to buy when I was traveling. That was the ugliest piece of silk I'd ever seen. It looked like it was camouflage, but it was gray, and then they had these areas we could see through, and it really looked quite ugly. And I thought, that's great. I'm going to find something to do.
Let me buy that. It's the ugliest piece, but I want to buy it. I understand that thinking.
Yeah. So I bought it, and then when this idea occurred to me, I layered it over some black some black batting so it would darken the ugly spots. And then I hand stitched.
Yeah, I see the hand stitching.
The cells of a hive, and then I used some. It's called a Shiva stick. It's sort of like a crayon, and colored in because that wasn't ugly enough. Or it didn't look enough like a beehive. Then I put these more neon on. And then I felt like I really wanted my narrative to be more explicit. And they're called a company named Stickerit, but they're QR codes. And you can upload a video or an audio. So what I did is I went on YouTube and I found this biology professor talking in her TED Talk about the demise of the honeybee culture and their hive collapse, which means all of those pollinators aren't going to be around, so the farms are going to be in great trouble. And I contacted her and she gave me permission to upload her TED Talk.
I am so fascinated by that. So I really want you to play for it.
Well, this is the audio one down here. This is just honeybees. Let me see if I can make this so you can hear it.
So
this is the audio. Yeah,
let me just hold it like this because I want it on camera.
Well,
okay.
It's already there. I need to make it stop.
Okay.
So what you do is you click on your QR code, the QR reader. You click onto that. It reads it, and I can now play it.
I think that's amazing.
So
technology. I'm going to let people listen.
So this is the sound of a happy hive. So I have the sound of the happy hive there, and then there's the audio, the video.
The video, so this is a video.
This is a video of the professor giving her TED Talk.
Okay, now the interesting thing is, this has a lot of implications.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. What implications do you envision?
Well, I've been now offering anyone, like you make a baby quilt for someone.
How?
Can you imagine?
How wonderful.
That he sew that on, that little piece of fabric on the back or somewhere, and the person can then take a video of themselves singing. Or can you imagine grandmother and grandfather's reading a baby story to the new baby?
Yes.
And it's there forever.
Forever. Or even the baby talking when they start babbling. How old are they when they start babbling?
Just months old.
And can you imagine the keepsakes for this? And I just find this so ingenious. And I remember when you showed it to me, I had never seen anything like it. And it's wonderful in your quilt, but I think this technique alone could start a whole revolution of young mothers learning to sew and quilt.
Oh, yes. It is making a big difference for traditional quilters, because then they put who made it. So often the labels on the back become illegible, or they come away, and years later you don't know anything. Who made that quilt for me? For whom was it made? But if you had that QR code on there.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm just so impressed. I'm just blown away by that. I don't know what else to say, but I really like it.
I do too. I'm using them more and more.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
it's great.
Is there something that you have another piece that maybe I can see another time where you use it?
Another time.
Okay, fine. Then I'm going to make you come back. Now, what I also have behind us is what do you call this here?
Well, this is a series of challenges posed by a small international group that I'm a part of.
Now, this international group, what is this about?
It's an online, formed by a friend of mine who used to live in Guilford, now lives in California. She wanted an online, so we could still be connected.
Yeah, I would say what a wonderful way to keep in touch.
Right, so she thought bigger, and she invited artists that live all over the world. So we've got a Brit, a Canadian, somebody from Australia, somebody from Taiwan.
Did she know these people already?
Some of them she did, some of them she didn't. She just asked. And it was 9 people, and every other month someone makes a challenge, and in 2 months, voila, online, at a particular day, is unveiling for everyone's work and see how they answered that challenge. So it's always going to be very interesting. So they'll have, like, the challenge for this one was to use neon. My own personal theme was the exotics. So I continued doing that exotic. This one was supposed to be, I forget now, but because I had lived in Japan as a kid, I decided I would use these beautiful Japanese textiles and make one that was abstracted shape of a kimono. And I have a series of kimono pieces, largely because I lived in Japan, but my parents adopted a Japanese sister for us. So Masako and I think of her whenever I do these.
Now, is that real Japanese fabric that you?
All this is, yes. This is all. This is not, but that and that, they are all Japanese.
That's a wonderful way to give honor to your background and your sister.
Yeah.
So that was a particular challenge.
And this was a different particular challenge. This one was look at traditions. Well, this was several months part of this, but my traditions, this is a piece of kimono, and this is the size that the kimono fabric is printed in. It's all the same size.
Oh, that's
width,
interesting.
And it comes in like 12 meters, but it's all this wide. So that's because that's exactly what I had from this leftover piece of kimono. This is the width, and this is what was left over, so that the sleeves turned out to be half of,
Right.
And I like text. So this are little words, text into my leaves.
Now, how did you do that? Did you stamp it on? You didn't, or did you write it with Pigma pen? Or did you buy it that way?
I bought it that way. Somebody else did it, but I overdyed it. So that because it was too white.
That's
so I didn't want white. And then I paired it with something that was pale so that these would be like letters from home. The name of this, and Fortune followed her because it was a good move for her to have been adopted and brought to this country.
So you bought the fabric, you didn't care for the original color, and you dyed it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you're Diane Wright. Of course. Of course, I know that. So that, and what I'm also noticing on your work, and I see a trend like with the honeybees and this, you do a lot of handwork on the piece besides the machine quilting.
Okay, this goes back from inside me, I cannot follow rules. I hate following directions. I don't like following rules.
Does your husband know that? I'm just asking.
I think he probably does.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I know you've been married a couple of years, so yeah.
So the rules when I first learned to quilt was you either hand stitch it or you machine. You
Yes, you're
don't
right.
combine them.
Oh, God forbid. God forbid you don't do that.
So
that's what you did.
That's what I did, darn right.
Oh.
And I like vintage things. Most of the red, there is red in the textile, but most of the red are vintage buttons. And there's a mixture of hand and so this is called And Fortune Followed Her. And then the next piece is all Japanese indigo, and that's for an upcoming challenge to use monochromatic, all one color. You could add white or black. Well, that suited me just fine because I have mountains of, this is called kusuri, which is Japanese textile that's woven that color. Those colors are woven into it, they're not printed.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
this looks like sashiko quilting.
The quilting is sashiko. Good for you.
Isn't that? I love sashiko.
Me too.
I don't do it, but it's one of those things that's on my list of things to do, but I love sashiko.
Well, see, even this, whoop,
Well, you're right, it was going to fall.
mine.
We're okay with that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. None of our stuff is breakable.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Well, sashiko informs the rest of my quilting. If you notice here, these are all pretty big stitches.
I did notice that.
And partly it's the sashiko, but partly the other part is, why make a stitch if it doesn't propel the design and so that you can see the line? So I never go for those little bitty stitches. And I mean, if I needed little bitty stitches, I'd, turn on my sewing machine.
That is an interesting comment, because one of my first quilts I ever made, I did hand stitching on it, and I was told they were too big, and I felt, oh my God, I'm a complete failure here. And
as long as they're even, it was all purposeful.
They were all even, but I didn't know you then 100 years ago. So I see what you're saying about that. That's really beautiful. Now, I don't know if you can use this, and so I was going to try to pick this up off the floor with this, but maybe my director can come in and get that for me when he gets a chance. But I'm going to move on and talk about this particular piece over here. What is this?
Well, the challenge for this was ordinary. Find the extraordinary in the ordinary. And because we'd also lived in Australia.
Okay, so Japan, China, Australia. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God. I got excited the other day that I went to Orange. I'm just saying. So
and you had a full tank of gas.
I had a full tank of gas to get to Orange. So tell me about this piece.
Well, ordinary bird in Australia is this magpie, and they have a gorgeous carol call, and I fell in love with magpies. Now they look like just big old black and white crows. Mm-hmm. So they're quite ordinary, and so this is answer to that ordinary. But you see, the ordinary became very exotic with the eucalyptus blossoms and this deserty fabric and I cut a stamp to do emu footprints.
Oh, I don't.
So that's the emu footprint.
Wow, you did. And then you outlined that with hand stitching.
Yes.
And you do the French knot a lot, I noticed.
Like the French knot, yeah. I think it makes a very nice point to draw, adds color, but then it also makes a line. All those little dots become a line that you can follow, your eye can follow throughout the piece. And that made sense to me.
Very nice. Now, I understand one of the stagehands came and helped us with a piece that's dropped, and we want to thank him. And now, you might know the stagehand's name, but...
but he's not done yet.
But he's not done yet. So we can just, maybe if he just wants to hold... Maybe if the stagehand could come over here with the quilt, that would be great.
Yeah, just come.
And come in the middle.
Dave,
and we'll,
just hand us.
Dave, just come over here. This is your way to get on TV. I know your type.
Hold that up.
Yeah, no, we don't have to show your face. So
this one is another one of those challenges, and this one was, for me, weird. It was to use natural dye.
Oh.
And I have a lot of allergies, so dyeing doesn't ever make me happy. So I thought, okay. So I started with, I had been to a thrift shop. I usually go there to buy interesting textiles, and this was a pure white sheet that already had black leaves on it. So
this sheet had black leaves?
And it was white. That was white,
wow.
And this was black. Then this was a piece of bright gold fabric, and we happened to be visiting friends in California when this challenge was posed, and I thought, gee, they have all these great eucalyptus trees here. So I shipped home a bunch of bark. It's lighter than air. Just a box, didn't cost anything to send home. So I sent the box of bark home, and I boiled it for 2 hours outside. Then I put fabric in it for 2 hours and boiled it 2 hours more.
Oh my gosh.
And it turned the gold this color, and it turned the white that color.
This is a beautiful color.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful color.
And I already owned that piece that absolutely worked beautifully with that.
You didn't add the stitches?
Oh, well, it is stitched. This isn't the stitch. There's all the lines going across are stitches.
Oh, unbelievable.
And then in my little windows,
I'm just going to bring this over here to a little bit closer to me. That's so interesting. No, you can still hold it, but I'm just going to bring it over here. Okay, what were you going to say?
Okay, so this one's another one of those that has the text written with my machine.
I see that, yes.
And so I like drought, prolonged dry spell, long dry spell. So all of these words, the little sentences I made up, because this was about the long droughts and the changes in the weather in places that had never had droughts. And we were in Northern California at that point. And they were really hurting for rain. So that's what this one was about.
Very nice. And I'm just going to mention, Dave, I think I'm going to hire you. Can you come to all my shows and do this kind of work for us? We'd appreciate it here at BCTV.
He's retired now. So.
Yeah, so why not? Yeah. Don't get too excited. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. So that's so cute. Thank God you brought him. Who knew we needed a husband here? Who knew? And we have probably about 5 minutes left, so I'd like to just take a minute and discuss this. This is the right way.
Yeah.
Not that I'm so knowledgeable, it's just I see where your tag is.
Yeah, well, this one, I was thinking now I better, it's one of a series, it's another one of those challenges.
I'll hold this up.
Yeah, because I have to remember which challenge this was. Oh, this one went to France. Goodness.
So if you don't go, your quilts travel.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
And there's a group right now in Taiwan.
Well, I'm going to Clinton this weekend. Just so you know. Yeah, again. I might head over to Westbrook, just saying. So just so you know. But this, I'm just going to get this up into, there we go.
Well, there's a lot of interesting things about this. Again, mostly they're personal stories. The narrative for me has always been one of the most important ingredients. It can't just look pretty. It needs to mean something to me. This is a vintage table napkin, piece of linen.
Just a napkin.
And it came that color. This is a piece that I used soy wax and a kitchen whip, with the soy wax, and printed it, put the soy wax down and then dyed it, so that's a piece of soy wax that's dyed.
That's interesting.
This is a piece that's painted.
Now this is subtle. This is luminescent and iridescent.
Iridescent.
This is very, you can see it a little bit. It's really beautiful, really beautiful.
And then this, I cut lino cuts, like woodblock prints, but they're easier to carve. So this, and I have a series of trees. As I noticed this about myself, as I got to an advanced, important age, I began looking back. And so trees and moons, leaves and birds. And they're almost all autumn leaves, so it's a series of in the autumn of your life. And this coincidentally also has some rusted pieces.
Oh, now this is very interesting. They're washers.
They're washers.
Where did you find those?
On my morning walks.
Oh, that's very interesting. Some people just step right over them and you pick them up and save them.
You can find things to do.
Very, very interesting.
And it's all hairy. That's things, is again, not following the rules. I had felt frayed, and this is sort of like making it literal.
It's really beautiful. I was wondering, you have a lot of work, and I've been to your studio, and your studio has quilt after quilt after quilt, blah, 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 blah. I mean, do you have a favorite among your children? I mean, you know, parents always say that I have no favorites. I love them all equally. And so I sort of look at the quilts as your child. Do you have a favorite among them?
No.
No. No.
Maybe the one I'm working on now, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I got to think. I love going back and looking at them, and they're like new things if I haven't seen them in a while.
Well, that's the interesting thought I had, because I've seen most of these, and I'm looking at them maybe with new eyes because I've had more information. I've learned more. It's only been a couple of months since we spoke, but I've learned more about the quilting process in my own development. But I find that, but I have to tell you, nothing, I don't like anything like I like that.
So you have to get these and put them on your work.
I'm going to have to, because I absolutely love that. I love it.
You could video yourself and put it on
now
some
that's
artist
scary.
label.
Now that's scary. I don't think anybody's going to want to see me on video on the quilt. I'm just saying. But I just think parents might enjoy it.
Well, and I recently was juried into a new exhibition that will be a couple of years because it's going to be published, and it's about man's first walk on the moon. And what were you doing then? And so I have two pieces that will be there, and one of them is a spacecraft, and there's the moon and all. Yeah, looks very nice. But on the spacecraft, I put one of these, and my particular quilt was supposed to be about the song "Fly Me to the Moon." So a friend of mine is a singer. I asked her to sing a cappella.
Wow.
I got her permission to upload it, and so now the juror can go on there and hear my friends sing, and that will travel around the world. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm just saying it's a real good thing you didn't ask me to sing, because I was once called the only lemon in a basket full of peaches. I'm just saying. But that's wonderful. We're running out of time very quickly. So if people wanted to contact you, how would they go about that?
Well, maybe the email address would be the best.
And what is your email?
It's DWRITE, a little play on words, at mac.com.
And do you have a blog?
I do. It's Diane Wright Quilts at blogspot.com.
Because that would be fun for people to look at some of the work that you've been doing.
There's a gallery there.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, and have to take time with it. And if you don't remember any of the things that she just said, and you only remember my name, which is a little on the scary side, you can email me at jmdteach@comcast.net, or you can always call the studio, and Doug or anybody working here would be glad to give me your information so I can call you back. Diane, I hope you come back again, because you have a ton of work I would absolutely love to show the world. It's just so beautiful.
I'm delighted. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. But I think out of all your children, that might be my favorite.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have a favorite. That might be my favorite. You know? But this is beautiful too.